and welcome to Horror Bois. It's a podcast on the internet. I'm Austin, joined as always by
Chris.
And we are the Horror Bois. And this isn't just any old podcast on this old internet. No, my friends. This is a horror movie review podcast where every week we review a horror movie. Until next week. Yeah. Find out more after this, if somehow this is your first episode, because if not, we've talked about it multiple times.
Yeah. If this is your first episode, why?
I mean, the newer movies do better.
Yeah. So.
And speaking of newer movies, we're talking about we're continuing our Chucky / Child's Play, review series. So we're talking about the Child's Play 2019 reboot / just its own movie, but they felt the need to, tie certain elements back to it just for the sake of cashing in. Oh, didn't say that, did I? Oops, moving on. It's directed by Lars Klevberg. It's written by Tyson Burton Smith. It's composed. Sorry, these guys, I'm sure they've done, they did a lot of, I think, more like short film. There was neither of these guys had anything that, I felt the need to... Yeah, bigger things to call out. But speaking of someone who does, we have our composer, Bear McCreary, who also composed The Walking Dead, Freaky, Wrong Turn 2, and Happy Death Day 1 and 2.
Oh, Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
Those were movies.
They were. I think most people, at least somewhat enjoy it.
I kind of like the first one, I think.
Yeah, the second one got a little too weird sci-fi. I haven't seen either of them, but I just know it gets a lot more sci-fi for the second one than horror. But hey, I think they're on the schedule, so eventually we will cover them.
Yay!
Yeah. I mean, they're more modern movies, so they'll probably do well.
Probably.
Our director of photography is Brendan Vigama, I believe. What is that supposed to say?
Well, that's a good sign.
I think it's supposed to say a bunch of TV, but I just wrote AB.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be a bunch of TV. And
AB.
A movie I want to talk about that he made, or he was director of photography on, was Monster Brawl, which is he was in that movie alongside Horror Bois alums Art Hindle of Black Christmas and Lance Henriksen of Scream 3. And this movie is this weird half just straight up wrestling, but with monster characters, but also they try to throw a plot in there. It's bad from my understanding. I haven't seen it, but I've watched videos on it, and it sounds awful. It's not on the list currently.
It does not sound good.
But I kind of want to make you watch it at some point. Maybe that'll be a movie club if we ever bring that back. Or Horrible Commentaries. That's the name of the one for this channel. Yeah, if we bring that back in the mid-year.
Could happen.
Good. It's not a dead series. It's just a series on hiatus.
Yeah, it's been postponed indefinitely.
The first seasons are both over, and the second season, it might get picked up. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we're still working on,
contracts. It's the money.
Yeah, with the network, the network being us.
Yeah, it's do I have time on Monday that week? I don't most weeks.
Yeah.
Our special effects were done by Masters Effects. What's the name of the,
group?
Effects house, yeah. The first of our 24 animatronics or puppeteers. So let's talk about it. We got 24 new people. Let's talk about them.
Yay!
And yeah, I'm gonna try to keep my energy up as much as I can for them because it's not their fault that there's that many of them, but they do deserve credit for the work they did.
I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. We set a precedent, so now we have to keep it.
Yeah, we sure did. First, we have Keith Olbermann.
First, we have Keith Olbermann.
Keith Olbermann.
Keith Olbermann.
Keith Olbermann.
Keith Arbuthnot of Scooby-Doo 2, Critters, Critters Attack specifically, sorry, it's like the fourth one, or it might be the fifth one. And, most importantly, Grumpy Cat's Worst Christmas Ever.
You are correct. That is the most important work that anybody could ever do, I think.
I agree. Next we have Bonnie Bari. Then we have John Barazan of Bram's The Boy 2.
Yeah.
Then we have Caitlin Carmichael. Then we have Amanda Duff. Then we have Mariana Fernandez. Then we have Mike Fields of AVPR, Cabin in the Woods, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Final Destination, 13 Ghosts, Santa Claus 2, Elf, The Ultimate Christmas Present, Trick or Treat, Jennifer's Body, The Predator, and Prey. And also a lot more, but those are just ones that all like stuck out to me. So, I want to talk about those ones that he was part of. And considering the like 4 people before that did nothing else that I knew of, I thought I could give him a little bit extra.
Here.
Next we have Christine Hackman of Underworld 5. First I had the actual subtitle there, but then I realized I don't care. So I'm just going to give the number. Actually, I believe, to be fair, I do know a little bit of the Underworld movies. I actually believe this is actually the prequel one. So it's actually not technically Underworld 5. It's, but whatever. And then we have Arwen Hargreaves. Then we got Quinn Henricks. Then we got Clarissa Horquera. Maybe. When it's not in English, it's harder for me to pronounce because I'm not educated.
Fair enough.
But Clarissa stuff she worked on was Sonic the Hedgehog. So that's pretty cool. And then we got Brian Kim. Then we got Jennifer Latour of Blair Witch, Critters Attack, and Cabin in the Woods. Then we got Eric Napier. Then we got Sarah Pickersgill of Slither, Haunting in Connecticut, Blair Witch, The Belko Experiment, The Predator, Violent Night, and Last of Us. They're, still doing stuff like very recently.
Yeah, very, very recently.
Then we got Brad Proctor of Final Destination 2, House of the Dead, Scooby-Doo 2, Slither, Cabin in the Woods, Blair Witch, and The Predator. Then we got Josh Raymond. Then we got Alex Roseberry. Then we got Harriet Sales. There's no T there. That's an L. Sorry, Harriet. Then we got Jeannie Satterwhite of Critters Attack and Sonic. Then we got James. Oh, I'm so sorry. I want to say it's School. I can't read my own handwriting. I'm sorry, James, who worked on Leprechaun Origins. Then we got Vic Waynes. And lastly, we have Mike Scanter. No, I'm really sorry, anyone who somehow finds this podcast who worked on these movies and he can't pronounce. I want to say it's Mike Scanler, but I could be wrong on what I wrote. He worked on Son of the Mask, Alien 3, Blade 2, TMNT 2, Secret of the Ooze, Little Shop of Horrors, and Jack Frost, making them a Horror Boy. Oh, wait. Woo! Sorry, I'm getting word that was actually the Michael Keaton one. The one they worked on.
Oh.
Ooh, sorry for the confusion.
Dang it all. Can't believe.
And that is the end of our 24 people who did puppetry or animatronics, which I believe are basically the same thing. But there were 2 people or 3 that were credited as animatronics under the special effects team, not puppet. So I don't know what the difference is between those people.
Oops.
Yeah. Let's start the movie, though. We open the movie with a in-movie commercial for a new Kazlan product. Or Kazlan. I don't know why I said it so weird. I said it like I was watching Lion Witch in the World Wardrobe, Yeah. Kazlan, the lion.
Kazlan.
Oh, yes, Kazlan. There's a new
You just
Kaslan
find-
product, the Buddy Doll. The commercial is hosted by Kaslan founder Henry Kaslan, who is played by... Yeah, I was getting cutting me off
No,
to...
no. It wasn't a cutoff. It was a segue.
Well, who is it?
No,
If you're gonna do the segue, you have to know who it is. Oh,
No,
you
no,
don't.
no.
You don't do the research. So yeah, it's played by Tim Matheson of 191 roles, including the Horror Boy alum filled She's All That, alongside Debbie Lee Carrington, Alexis Arquette, Usher, Clea Duvall, Anna Paquin, and national treasure Matthew Lillard. There are so many Horror Boy alums in She's All That. It's a shame that She's All That has no, like, even thriller elements where we could cover it, because there it is, the most Horror Boy alum movie ever.
None whatsoever.
You don't think we're not starting Rom-Com Boys anytime soon?
No, no.
But, like, it's a subsidiary of Horror Boy, so we still bring up Horror Boy alums?
No.
Alright, I guess we won't do that.
No.
The Buddy Doll and subsequently Chucky are voiced by Mark Hamill, whose two most famous roles are Luke Skywalker in Star Wars and the Joker.
And the voice of Joker.
Yeah, in Batman the Animated Series and multiple other DC animated projects.
Yeah, that one I did actually know because, I like Mark Hamill a lot.
Yeah, Mark Hamill's great. He's my second favorite voice of Chucky ever.
Fair. I think me too.
Yeah.
Personally.
Nothing against Mark Hamill. He's amazing. He does a really good job in this role. It's just this movie shouldn't exist. Spoiler.
Yeah. There truly was no reason.
Yeah. In the commercial, we find out that the Buddy Doll is basically an Alexa in a doll. It can control other Kaslan products, has a learning AI, and can even bring you your science book.
Right, this is the Alexa movie.
I mean, basically, this is... If, the first movie had, like, an the original title had, like, a little bit of an anti-capitalism, like, undertones to it. This movie said, hey, hold that. We'll give you AI is bad overtones. Which, to be fair, not wrong. But...
Yeah. Just, like, be gentle when you're hitting me over the head.
Yeah. And it's also got some anti-consumerism, too, because it's not just AI they're targeting. They're also targeting, the Apples, Googles, Amazons of the world. But they're doing it very subtly. You might have not even noticed that Kaslan is actually filling in for any of those giant conglomerates.
Yeah.
Yeah. That little bit goes on for a little bit longer, and it's shot well enough, and it sets the tone, but I'm not going to give you more than those, like, three things that happened in it. Those are the three things, which, two of them are more important, and then the science book comes back later in a joke, so I had to bring it up here. We head to the Kaslan factory in Vietnam. A programmer named Chien is yelled at by his supervisor and told he'll be fired after he finishes that doll. Chien is played by Phoenix Lee, or Lai. The supervisor is played by Johnson Fawn of Sonic 2 and X-Men Origins Wolverine, alongside Horror Boy alums Liev Schreiber and Ryan Reynolds.
It's true.
After being fired, Chien removes all the safety protocols off the Buddy Doll he's working on before taking his own life by jumping off the factory. We're starting out this movie in a nice, happy place. Oh, wait, no, we're not. It's actually really a depressing way to start the movie.
Yeah,
But I will say,
dark.
tonally, I would say this movie actually does get just pretty fun overall after this very dark, bleak opening.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
The doll is loaded onto a truck, and as the door closes, we get our title card. Woo, yay, title card! And we also get we get to hear a really cool soundtrack by Bear. That is one thing that I will definitely praise. This movie's soundtrack is really awesome. It's got a really cool sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, that's it. That's all my thought. It's got a good sound. Actually, to be fair, spoiler for my thoughts at the end, which I will restate them then. I think most of this movie is actually really well done.
I would be inclined to agree. Yeah.
We head to
Just,
Zedmart,
yeah.
where a disgruntled man wants to return his buddy doll to cashier Karen because he didn't know the doll would be red-haired, even though the box has a window on it showing the doll.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he angrily takes the doll back out when she, tells him, you should have realized.
Yeah.
The
Should
angry,
have, looked at the box.
yeah. The angry customer is played by Eddie Flake. Karen is played by Aubrey Plaza of Parks and Rec, Life After Beth, and most importantly, Grumpy Cat's Worst Christmas Ever.
Right.
Yeah.
As previously, established.
Where she plays both. She goes full Jennifer Tilly, and she plays both herself and
Grumpy Cat.
And Grumpy Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next week we will be covering Grumpy Cat's Grumpy Christmas, or whatever its stupid movie's called.
I'm down.
I'm pretty sure it is a horror movie, because... Sorry, it's a horrible movie. I get those words mixed up sometimes.
Yeah, it's understandable that you would
We
do
probably
that.
should cover that on Movie Club if we ever bring it back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is definitely going to be, when we do it once for Christmas.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, quite possibly.
Bonus content.
When she's at her apartment building, she passes her creepy, super, I believe is the term that would be used for him, maintenance guy. He kind of seems like he has a little more power than just being the maintenance guy, so I think he might be the super of the apartment. He's in the hallway. His name is Gabe. He's played by knockoff Jack Black. Sorry, no, it's Trent Redicop. This guy really looks like kind of like Jack Black, just enough that it's like, wait, no, it's not at all. But it's just like eerie enough where you're like, he looks too much like Jack Black.
That's fair. Yeah.
She goes up to her apartment where we meet her soon to be 13 or 14-year-old kid. I don't know. I've heard him be called 13, but technically this movie takes before his birthday, so I don't know if he's like 12 about to turn 13 or he's 13 about to turn 14 this whole movie. I don't know.
Couldn't tell ya.
And her son's name is Andy. Also, did you know her name was Karen? Remember these names? They're some of the only things kind of linking this to the original.
Yeah.
Andy is played by Gabriel Bateman of Lights Out and Annabelle. Andy wants a new phone for his birthday, but Karen can't afford it because, she's already been working doubles to buy him a new hearing aid. Because also, his character is deaf. Or partially deaf, I don't know how. But he's hearing impaired. Which, it's kind of cool, because it's not like... It doesn't really come into play in the story. It's just kind of a factor about him, which is, it's cool, that kind of inclusivity. Like, there's a couple of moments where, like, they bring it back in, but I don't feel like his character needed to be hearing impaired for the way they wrote it. They just chose to make the... It just feels... It's a cool level of inclusivity, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's not where it's like a character-defining feature, but...
It does... They do choose to use it in a couple areas later that make sense, but...
It is a part of him.
It just kind of feels like, hey, look, here's a character, because that's, how it should be with, like, a lot of different things. Like, let's just include people who make people feel like it's them on the screen, because inclusion is cool.
Yeah.
Preaches the white man who's always had, representation his whole life, and, yeah. But yeah, we'll move on. He says he needs the phone more because it's his primary source of education. She takes his phone away to see a buddy doll humping something. I'm not sure what it's humping, but it's humping something.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it happens. He's upset she won't give him his phone back because it's his only thing to do, and she tells him to, just go play outside with kids in the rain.
Which, for Andy is fair that he wouldn't want to do that because he lives, in the inner city, and it's not like there's a whole lot to do outside. It's not like there's a yard to play in.
Yeah, but those kids are having fun out there.
Oh, let's go play around the garbage can.
Yeah. They're standing in the rain. That sounds like fun.
Oh, I love
Which I think that it's not delivered in a way where you're actually supposed to think he should go out there. Like, it's delivered, like, even, like, as Karen is explaining it, she's doing it in, like, perfect, like, Aubrey Plaza, like, half, like, sarcastic tone as she says it, like, you just go outside with those kids who are just standing in there. Like, it's, I don't know, it's, Aubrey Plaza's great in this. You know, if only it wasn't called Child's Play.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
So yeah, he doesn't want to go outside. He says, well, they could be serial killers, which is the closest thing we have a reference to Chucky being a serial killer in this, because he's not. Which
sure isn't.
Kind of takes away, like, the stakes for me personally a little bit, but, you know, whatever. We'll move on. I don't want to just harp on the bad things. Let's harp on the good things, too, when they happen. Because there are some good things. That sounded like, Bear McCreary, Aubrey Plaza. I already brought up a couple of things I think were really good in this. Now let's keep talking about the story.
Let's.
And she says that she'll give him his phone back if he goes outside and tries to make some friends. He goes outside, but doesn't talk to the two kids. Those two kids we later find out are Fallon and Pug. Fallon is played by Beatrice Kitos, and Pug is played by Ty Lonsiglio. Back at Zedmart, a female customer wants to return a Buddy doll because its eyes turned red and was weird. The disappointed customer was played by Hannah Drew. So then Karen takes it back, gives her refund, and then Karen proceeds to blackmail her boss Wes into letting her take the defective doll home with her.
Yeah.
Wes is played by Amro Majub. I'm trying my best. If I pronounced it wrong, I am very deeply sorry. Don't you shake your head at me. You hosted and have to pronounce all these names.
I'm pronouncing names. I don't know. Maybe just send me a list of. Send me a list.
How would you pronounce the last name? Majzoub.
Come again?
Majzoub. It's a different culture, and I don't know how to pronounce that name, so I did the best I could.
Majzoub?
Maybe. Yeah. It could have been that. It could have been whatever I said already. I forgot. I'm moving on.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I don't have problems with, the names that are from the culture I'm from. Hey, and there's nothing wrong with him having his name. I'm not, like a racist or anything. I just don't know how to pronounce it, and I'm trying my best. Right. So don't get off my back, man.
I understand.
Later, Andy comes home.
About culture?
Later, Andy comes home and finds Karen making out with Shane. He lies about going to hang out with the other kids and leaves.
Yeah, because nobody wants to watch their mom make out with another man.
Shane is played by David Lewis of Lake Placid, Grumpy Cat's Worst Christmas Ever, Halloween Resurrection alongside Horror Boy alum Jamie Lee Curtis, and he was also in Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency alongside Horror Boy alums Elijah Wood and Fiona Dourif. She's from the good Chucky series. Did I say that?
Yeah.
We lead to Andy. We could lead there. We lead to Andy sitting alone in the hallway where he's found by Detective Mike. Get it? Because that's like the character in the other movie.
Yeah.
Who invites?
And that's where the similarities end.
Yeah, he's just a dude now. He's a different guy. Like, it's a completely different dude. No, nothing really else at all similar.
He's a detective.
Yeah.
And he is also Mike.
Yeah. Maybe Norris. We don't know. They don't say. Yeah. Detective Mike invites him to dinner with his mom, Doreen, but Karen comes out at that point, and Detective Mike tries to joke about Andy being in trouble. Detective Mike is played by Brian Tyree Henry of Joker, The Eternals, Atlanta, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which in that he's alongside Horror Boy alum Liev Schreiber. Doreen is played by Carlise Burke, who is a character actress who played a lot of different things, tons of roles, a decent amount of which were cops, and I'm going to highlight two of her roles. First, she played Detective Winslow in Season 2, Episode 8, The Dark Age of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yep.
I'll be honest, normally I can remember exactly who the character is they played. I can kind of, when reading the description of the episode, kind of picture maybe who she is. But I'll be honest, I don't really remember her as much as I do most of the time.
She played a cop in Buffy, which means
they don't
she
have
was the least
cops don't show up that often
out.
there. But yeah, and I won't hold it against her, but she is a Horror Boy alum for her role of Officer Number 2 in Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare.
Oh.
Which, if you're a new time listener, and you might go, hey, new time listener, that's the new term I'm coining. If you're a new time listener, you may go, oh, okay, that movie's kind of bad. I disagree with that statement if that's all you said. I say that's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Period. Full stop. And sadly, this woman is a Horror Boy alum for that. But now, she can be a Horror Boy alum for this, which is, God, such a better movie.
It is. I'm all around.
But yeah. After confirming that Shane has left, Andy goes back with Karen to the apartment. Karen pulls out a familiar-sized box. That's the bit from this version of the series. Well, guys, I was able to pull it in that one time. That's like one of the only things that really connected to the other one. They had a box that was similar.
Yeah.
Andy opens it and is disappointed because the doll inside is for little kids. But he humors his mom and boots him up. The buddy doll asks if Andy is his best buddy and what his name is. Andy replies, Andy, sup? As in, like, hey, what's up? After he said his name. The doll takes that as Andy sup for his name.
Yeah.
And asks what his name is. Andy says Han Solo. Get it? Because Mark Hamill was in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But the doll says, did you say Chucky? Which was actually pretty funny. As because it's just so not at all close.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, Chucky basically says, no, I'm Chucky, and deal with it.
Yeah. For really no other reason other than to tie it in that this is the Child's Play movie.
His name is Chucky, the kid's name is Andy, the mom's name is Karen, the cop is Mike. We're done.
You guys know these names.
The movie is called Child's Play.
Yeah.
Remember when, like, one of the movies people hate? I don't hate it. Don't like it, but I don't hate it. But, consider one of the worst remakes ever in, Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. You know what they at least did with some of their characters? Gave them different names. Yeah, they still did keep their Nancys and stuff, but, like, they did also say, hey, this character is going to die like Tina, but she has a new name. They could have done that with this. They didn't have to have the exact same names. Fine, maybe Chucky had to be the doll's name. Fair, if you wanted to keep it Child's Play. But why did they have to be Andy and Karen and Detective Mike?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry for everyone who worked on this movie. Because this movie is good. Like, genuinely. Spoiler. This movie is genuinely a good movie and deserves not the vitriol I have for it. But just due to the circumstance of how it exists, I don't like this movie. And it's not fair to the hard-working people who worked on this movie. But I'm going to try to get back to telling the story of this movie.
It's just unfortunate it wasn't named Billy,
Buddy. It should just be called Buddy.
Yeah.
Just call it Buddy. It's such a simple thing.
Billy with a 1 and,
sure.
Be the predecessor to Mithrigan.
Yeah. But this movie would have, not made as much money for them, so they couldn't do that.
That is true.
Studio's got a studio. But yeah, let's try to talk about the movie. I'm going to get angry about this again at the end for my final thoughts. I'll try to save it for that. Try. No promises. My plan was to save it for the final thoughts this time around, and you see how that turned out, so...
Yeah, it never works.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Spoilers.
Andy has Chucky. He tries to have Chucky turn on the TV, but Chucky can't because he's not synced to the cloud. Chucky tries, but actually can't sync to the cloud. Which, remember that, because as me and Chris were discussing this movie before we started, just casually joking around, that's a big plot hole later that makes no real sense in the way it's solved, that we'll discuss when it happens. Karen apologizes for how broke it is, but Andy ensures her that he likes it, he finds it funny. Andy's a really good kid. Honestly, that's another thing I will... Once again, I want to praise this movie when it deserves praise. The relationship dynamic between Andy and Karen in this movie is just really genuine. Like, it feels like, you know, like a young mom who's... a young single mom raising her kid. Like, they feel very, like, real people, which is nice. Andy takes Chucky to his room, where he introduces him to his cat, Mickey Rooney, by telling Chucky it's a total Mick. We'll go with Mick. That's the word we'll use. And to not touch him. Chucky repeats, total Mick. Yeah, that's definitely the line. I'm not just, censoring anything. Yeah. And Andy is surprised that he can say an obscenity, because, Mick is such a harsh obscenity.
Right.
See, that was another one of those bits, guys. See, this is connected to the other movie. This is, just like how this movie gave those characters those names, I occasionally in my notes wrote down callbacks to the other series as bits to make you feel like it's part of the same series of reviews.
Yeah.
It's for the money. That's why I'm doing it for the money.
We're not getting any money.
We're not getting anything. No. Andy shows him his drawings for some reason. Including what he refers to as the deep cut of Zorro and Medusa. Like his whole thing is the drawings that he makes them to be like obscure buddy cops, which is just weird. I don't understand why this scene is there. It's just so random. But then like somehow Zorro and Medusa are a deep cut. It didn't make sense. Remember when I praised this movie like a scene ago for like how real the people feel? This line doesn't feel like it's written by a real human, for a real human.
Yeah. Oops.
It feels like they heard kids say the words deep cut and went, ooh, we could put that here. I guess. Chucky doesn't think that they're stupid. He's wrong.
Yeah.
Chucky sings the buddy song, even though Andy doesn't want him to, which goes, "You are my buddy until the end. More than a buddy, you're my best friend." But then he glitches out, so we don't. If there's more to that song, we don't hear it yet. There is, spoiler.
Yeah.
Andy replies, oh, sorry, I skipped over a whole line. Chucky asks if they're having fun now. Andy replies, sure, I guess. In the middle of the night, Andy wakes up to Chucky staring at him. Chucky wants to know if it's time to play and have fun. But Andy says no, it's sleep time. Chucky whispers, "You're my best friend, Andy." Andy tells him to stop being weird. Much to Andy's anger, Chucky sings the buddy song again, now with the second verse. "I love you more than you will ever know, and I will never let you go." Not ominous at all.
No.
Chucky then whispers, "Good night, Andy." And we cut to the morning, where Chucky mimics Andy's routine. This is a really cute sequence, including at the end, the mimicking him with stabbing a knife into the cutting board, so it kind of shows him doing a stabbing motion. Chucky tries to give Andy his science book, but it's actually a roll of TP, which is actually the fifth or sixth thing apparently he tried to give him as a book, that none of them were books.
Yeah.
Andy leaves, telling Chucky to stay there. We cut to later as Andy comes home and finds Chucky waiting with a present, which is, a broken popsicle stick. It's a pretty good present. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying any of our fans ever need to give us gifts, but if you want to give me a broken popsicle stick, I won't say no. I mean, how could I say no to that? Please don't ever give me a broken popsicle stick. I will.
I will say no.
Yeah. Shane then shushes Andy, so Andy leaves with Chucky. Andy complains about how Andy complains about Shane to Chucky, ending saying Shane's going to leave like everyone else. Chucky says he'll never leave and hugs Andy. And at this point in the movie, you go oh, is this just a happy movie? I mean, you don't, because it's called Child's Play. They chose to put the word Child's Play on it, so you know what you're getting. Yeah. But, it's kind of, honestly, kind of genuine at this point, it feels like. It's genuinely kind of sweet and charming at this point in the movie, which makes it even worse when Like, I know I'm watching Child's Play. I know this doll is going to kill someone, or multiple people. Yeah. After he hugs Andy, he asks if they're having fun now. Andy says, yeah, I guess this time, which sounded slightly more positive than earlier. So, we cut to them playing a board game. I tried to Google to see if anyone online had said what game it was, because I was going to shout out the game. No one said anything, so I don't know.
Yeah, of course not.
I mean, you never know what random weird things happen to be board game nerds who also happen to watch this movie and we're like, oh, they're playing this random game that the set director liked,
There's also a chance it just wasn't a board game that actually existed at all.
It could have been made up.
Yeah.
Or it could have been real, and I'll never know what it is, and I'm heartbroken. And they seem to be having a lot of fun. Andy's doing well. He drops a piece in front of Rooney and goes to pick it up, and Rooney scratches Andy, drawing blood. Chucky asks if the kitty hurt Andy. Andy says yeah, and goes to put a Band-Aid on. Andy comes back to Chucky choking Rooney. Andy stops him and asks why he did that. Chucky says he was hurting Andy and making him unhappy. Andy tells him he can't hurt people or cats, and he also can't creep out, except maybe Shane.
Yeah.
Bum bum.
Which Chucky smiles at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He then takes Chucky to the hall, where he has Chucky make a creepy face for his plan to scare Shane. And by creepy face, I mean not his normal face. There's even a line where he says, "No, you just still look too cute," which I was like, "Does he?" Here's the thing. Chris had told me that he didn't like Chucky's design. My dad also didn't like Chucky's design. I personally didn't mind Chucky's design in this, but I definitely would never describe this Chucky as cute in any way.
It is very ugly.
Yeah. Fallon and Pug walk up with Pug's dog, Franklin, who barks, causing Andy's hearing aid to reverb really loudly. Pug says that it's obscenitying loud, which Chucky repeats. Fallon is shocked because buddy dolls aren't supposed to swear. Pug thinks it's cool. He doesn't follow the rules. While Fallon wants to point out how this is how robot apocalypse scenarios always start. Which, she's not wrong.
Yeah, she sure isn't. I wonder if that's foreshadowing.
I don't know if it's a robot apocalypse. I mean, maybe if they ever made that second one, which I don't think they're going to. Fingers crossed.
Yes, fingers crossed. They never do.
Yeah.
I agree.
We head to a double fake-out fridge door scare where Chucky scares Shane. That's the scene. We cut to a later date where Fallon and Pug pick up Andy to hang out, and they go to steal chips while Gabe has the machine open. Outside, we meet Chris and Omar. You're in this movie, Chris.
I have no
and
idea.
You're played by Anesha.
Hold on, spell it for me.
I'm not doing that for every day. I'm just moving on. Omar is played by Marlon Cassidy of Riverdale and Ghostbusters Afterlife. Omar wants Chucky to say this is for Tupac as he stabs a unicorn plush for a viral video, but Chucky wants to sing the Buddy song instead. Later, Pug, Fallon, and Andy are watching a really weird, out-of-sequence cut of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. There are shots from the very end, right after, the beginning, and then,
The beginning? Yeah.
It starts, kind of more, a little bit in, which, fair, maybe they didn't start it. We didn't see it start. So, okay. Right. But then they cut to, the ending shot before they cut into a shot that's before the first shots. And, it's not like this is supposed to be, a montage of just showing it happening. Because later, they pause the movie in the middle of it before half this stuff would have happened. I mean, here's the thing. For most people, that's not
Doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. But for me,
for us,
I'm like, well, no, that's not how that works. That's not how that movie goes.
So, yeah. I also was like, why are they playing the movie out of sequence? What is happening?
Yeah, well, all three kids, they're laughing and enjoying the carnage, because who doesn't love a good horror movie? Chucky heads to the kitchen and comes back in with a knife and is about to stab Pug before Andy stops him, but he does get cut on his arm while trying to stop him. Chucky says he thought it would make Andy happy, which, to be fair, he did just see Andy smiling and laughing at violence, so,
Yeah.
For this AI with no safeguards, what's he supposed to think?
Yeah. Clearly, violence is good and funny.
That's what I saw in that scene. And you know what? Chucky has so far hasn't done anything wrong.
True.
The cat was being a punk.
Yeah, the cat sure was being a jerk.
They
Typical cat behavior.
Yeah. Cancel all cats.
I would just like to, for the record, I do like cats. I am a dog guy, but
I'm
I do
not.
like cats.
I'll say it. I'll say what we're all thinking. A cab. All cats are bastards. Moving on.
Right. All right. And
where was I?
all cats are bastards in the notes. That's
Oh,
crazy.
it was there. Wow, that's crazy. That whole conversation was scripted. You'd think we would have cut it if it was scripted, but it wasn't. We did it. We went for it.
Oh.
We cut to a little bit later, and Chucky tries to apologize, but Andy, he leaves him. We cut to later. After not accepting a cookie from Karen, Shane goes to get a beer from the fridge and thinks he's going to get scared behind the fridge, but no, he's not there. Chucky's not there. Why would he be behind the door? Because he's right behind him on the counter. Whoa, double, triple fake out scare.
Yeah.
Chucky then plays a recording of Andy saying Shane's such a butthole. Definitely the exact quote. He repeats that repeatedly. Karen kind of chuckles at it, which makes Shane angry. Later, Karen takes Chucky from Andy and locks him in a cupboard and says one of the reasons is he's scaring Rooney. In the night, Chucky bangs on the cabinet doors. Just red light comes from him somehow. I don't know. It's not his eyes. It's way too much light. But it is a really pretty shot. It just don't think about it.
Yeah. Which is the best way to consume this movie in general. Just don't think about it.
Yeah. The next day, when Andy comes home from school, he finds Chucky has escaped and killed Rooney because Kitty made them unhappy. Now they can play again, though. Chucky plays a clip of Andy saying, "I swear I'm so sick of that cat." Hashtag ACAB.
All cats are bad.
That's what he said. That's what he said. That was what the clip says. Andy says hashtag. No, he doesn't.
Hashtag.
He says hashtag in the middle of the sentence.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, with some of the writing in this movie, I wouldn't fully put it past him to have a character say hashtag something.
No. Yeah.
Andy dumps the body in the trash chute and blames Shane for Rooney running away. That's in quotes. He didn't actually run away, but that's what he makes his mom think. In the middle of the night, Chucky plays the sounds of him killing Rooney. In this most just randomly out of nowhere really twisted moment, which doesn't quite make sense with the character yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
No.
Because he hasn't really pushed Andy over the edge to the point where Andy's ignoring him completely. So I don't know why. I guess once again, this would make more sense if Chucky was, I don't know, just spitballing here, had a serial killer stuck inside of him. This would make sense, like a playing with their mind thing. But you see, he's not. He's just an AI that apparently, if you turn off the safety protocols for, becomes a complete sociopath.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Hey, Microsoft's Tay AI turned racist after 5 minutes on the internet because they were fed racist information.
Do.
Yeah. Because the internet is terrible.
Yeah.
Lost my place. Yeah, so the next day, Andy leaves. I guess that's just that scene. Apparently he leaves, and I have felt the need to write that. When he comes home, and Shane is there. Karen, oh, the next day Andy leaves. When he comes home, and Shane is there. Now my writing makes sense. There should have been like a comma there or something. I don't know. I did it wrong. I messed it up a little bit, but we'll move on. Yeah, once he's gone, Karen tells Shane that Andy's just different. Before talking to a non-responsive Chucky. So Chucky's in the scene, and he may have the ability to audio record her saying something like Andy's just different. That might be something that's played back later, hypothetically speaking. Later, Shane is peeing and is scared by Chucky and ends up peeing all over himself, and it's funny because Shane is a butthole. Chucky repeats that Shane is such a butthole clip of Andy. Speaking of Shane being a total butthole, Shane takes Chucky to Andy's room and confronts Andy, pushing him down onto the bed and just being such a butthole is what my notes literally said there. The other ones I kind of threw in for extra. That one's actually in my notes. After he leaves, Andy just kind of begs and wishes for Shane to just go away and how he wants him gone. Yeah. Chucky looks on with his eyes turning red, and he's like smiling at the thought of, I'm doing something here. I don't know. I don't know if this killer doll movie might turn into being a killer doll movie about now.
Yeah.
Karen is mad at Shane for overstepping his boundaries, talking to Andy, and Shane, leaves angrily. Detective Mike sees this conversation. Shane leaves in his truck, hearing a thud, but not investigating it. Shane drives home to his wife and 2 daughters. That's right. Can you guess why? Because he's such a butthole.
Yeah.
The guy has a wife and kids.
Yeah, he sure is cheating on his wife.
Yes, because he is such a butthole. Shane goes in his backyard watermelon farm. Sorry, let me make sure that's very important that he has a watermelon farm in his backyard for some reason.
I don't think it's even his backyard. I think it's just his front yard. He's just got a watermelon patch in his front yard.
It could be. I took it as backyard, but it doesn't really matter. I feel like there's too much space for it to be a front. Also, I'm pretty sure later when we come back to the scene, we do see Detective Norris, or not Norris. Sorry, no, we don't call him Norris. Detective Mike and his
Mike,
right. I don't remember the
Willis, and friend.
I believe might be her character's name.
Mike and friend.
Yeah, Mike and other cop. I believe they come through like a gate, so I do think this is a backyard.
Yeah, I guess that would make more sense to have your watermelon patch in the backyard.
So yeah, he's taking down the Christmas lights up on this ladder. Chucky takes out the ladder, dropping him to the ground, breaking his legs brutally.
You just get to see.
Yeah, we do see the like broken legs pop out.
Bones just like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His screams aren't heard because his daughters have headphones on, and they're just. I don't know if you could get this, but like, I'm pretty sure they're trying to tell us like that his daughters are just so like addicted to like electronics they don't even like notice the world around them. Like, I'm really smart for realizing that very, very subtle undertone there.
Yeah, you really had to be paying close attention to catch that one.
Yeah. Oh, you slept through the movie and you still got that the message was AI is bad? Yeah, that's fair. Chucky has a tiller pull the Christmas lights in, eventually scalping Shane, and like flinging out the like scalp onto like a gnome. It's kind of a little funny, darkly comedic moment.
Yeah.
And then Chucky stabs him 13 times, saying this is for Tupac. And another darkly comedic callback to earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. The next day, Detective Mike is briefed on the evidence by Willis, played by Nicole Anthony. She shows him the now faceless corpse and tells Mike the victim's wife said he just came home from work. Mike checks his ID, and he recognizes him, so he knows that story is not true.
Yeah.
In the morning, Andy finds Shane's face nailed to a watermelon with a bow on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, kind of. I mean, the one thing I will say that doesn't make sense is the teeth are there. Makes no sense. But
Right. That would not be how that works.
Yeah, no.
Your teeth are not attached to your skin, for those of you wondering.
No, they're not attached to your lips. You might think they are, but they're not.
The more you know.
Yeah. Also, cats are bad.
Yes. Well.
All cats are bad cats. If there's... I'm gonna stop myself. I was gonna make a... I'll say what joke I was gonna make, but not make it, so it makes it okay. I was gonna make bad
Cat
apple...
with a gun?
One bad apple spoils the whole bunch joke about cats. But yeah, we'll move on. Yeah, so after he sees this, Andy, he's kind of freaked out by it. And Chucky says he did it so he can play with Andy again, and he'd do anything for his best buddy. Andy freaks out, asking why Chucky would think he wants this. And Chucky plays the clip of Andy saying he just wanted Steve gone. No, Shane.
Yeah.
He wanted Shane gone. He also wanted Steve gone. It's unrelated, but he plays that clip that you never saw in the movie. You don't know who Steve is, but he wants him gone.
Yeah.
Andy locks Chucky in his wardrobe and calls Pug and Fallon for help. Andy wants to call the cops and tell the truth, but Fallon says they won't believe them, which, probably true.
That is valid.
So, dispose of the, melon head. They wrap it in wrapping paper, but don't get it put into the garbage chute because they run into Karen, who...
Whoopsies. I said, whoopsies.
Yeah.
Yeah, mom's home.
Yeah, so he has to walk... So Karen, when he hears the story, which the lie that Andy tells him is a gift for Doreen, for helping him so much.
Mike's mom.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't remember.
Said her name earlier.
Right. But for those of our audience members who are half listening,
well, then that's their fault. They can go on IMDb and figure out who it is. And they won't, because they'll just say Doreen, and they're like, I still don't know who this is.
Wait, who's Doreen? Mike's mom.
Yeah, it's Mike's mom. Mike's mother.
Dang it.
You set me up for that. We could have just let me call her Doreen, but you wanted to double down on what her role is. So Karen ends up walking Andy over to Doreen's to give her the present. And Doreen, she's a cool person because she is just willing to pretend that she helps Andy with his homework to help Andy here. She doesn't have any reason to, because it's obviously a lie, but she like, oh yeah, sure, totally. And Andy is able to stop her from opening the present because he wants to open it with her on his birthday next week.
Yeah.
So gives him a little bit of time to deal with this, melon head issue.
Yeah.
Later, Andy goes to the wardrobe to get Chucky, and after getting him to drop a knife, takes him into another room. I actually think a different apartment due to like a poster that's seen on the wall here that we then later see in Pug's room. So I actually think he takes him to Pug's apartment.
Yeah.
Where, spoiler, because like I just said, it's Pug's apartment. Not his, probably not his. He's a child.
Right.
But Pugs and Phelan pop out and they help take Chucky down. And they take out his Tony Stark-esque, arc reactor power source power pack that's in his chest for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. They throw the dead Chucky into the trash chute, where he is found by Gabe, who takes Chucky to his creepy stalker basement with secret cameras.
Yeah. Because this is also the movie of 13 cameras or whatever it is.
13 Ghosts, unrelated movie.
No.
Starring Matthew Lillard?
movie where a maintenance guy, or well, actually no, I think he's like a hotel owner, has like secret cameras spying on people.
Mm.
Uh, he is in this movie.
Mm.
No,
Oh, I
it's
know.
just Gabe. Just
Yeah.
Gabe.
Gabe, he has plans to repair Chucky with the intention to sell him,
On eBay.
this toy that's about to be obsolete.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into
Yeah.
even later why that's even stupider later the next time we come back to this scene.
Using spare parts that
No, these aren't
he
spare parts. These are parts he orders that we will get to
he
in like the next.
bought.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get to that. We're not at that scene yet, but we'll get to that. He orders multiple things. He
Yeah.
ends the scene holding a drill, saying the line, uh, saying, wait, what? Saying time to open you up and see what we're dealing with. That line might be important. We might come back to it 2 more times.
Yeah.
Specifically 2. We cut to Detective Mike informing Karen about Shane's murder. Excuse me. Later, Andy goes to Doreen's, and when Detective Mike answers the door, he asks if he still wants backup for dinner with his mom. Detective Mike says, "We're good," and closes the door before immediately opening it, saying he was joking, and welcomes him in. We cut back down into the basement. Chucky sees inside Doreen's apartment. He's watching it on the camera. Where Andy helps her set up the Caslin Cars app, which is their equivalent of Uber in this world. Also, Slash, like, one of the companies that has, like I guess Tesla.
Self-driving cars?
Yeah, self-driving car.
Yeah.
I think Tesla's one of
Tesla,
the
Google, car.
Yeah. Maybe Google's the best thing for all of these, but also Google doesn't have their own Uber yet.
Yeah.
I say yet. I'm sure it's coming. Once they get those self-driving cars to stop, killing people. She calls Andy.
It'll happen eventually.
Yeah, maybe. She calls Andy her new best friend. Uh-oh. Detective Mike sees Andy eyeing Melonhead and asks his mom about it. She tells him and puts it on the table. Andy looks very uncomfortable when Mike puts his hand on it. Mike thinks that Andy's uncomfortable because Andy's been hearing stuff about, him, the bad people in town saying something about the cop, kind of a thing. Detective Mike, still warning Andy about the neighborhood, leaves the room, and Andy grabs the head and leaves. There's actually a really funny line from Detective Mike that says, he's like, even the hearing impaired don't want to hear my stories.
Yeah.
I really like a lot of the characters in this movie. Not all of them. Pug kind of annoys me.
Yeah, that's fair. I do like Mike, though.
Yeah, no, Mike's great. Honestly, Andy and Karen are both also great. There are a couple great... Doreen's also great. Gabe is horrible, but he's supposed to be, so I respect it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he left with the head. Then found my spot. Oh yeah, Andy throws the head in the trash chute. Time to go back to the basement, where we see Gabe replacing Chucky's clothes. Or he pulls out replacement clothes for Chucky. He doesn't put them on yet. And he also replaces his arc reactor, and still thinks he's going to turn a profit somehow on this about to be obsolete toy that he has invested a bunch of money, I would assume, on spare and replacement parts.
Yeah.
I don't understand this man's business model.
I'm sure arc reactors are cheap.
Yeah. Also, I guess this is the point where we'll bring up that somehow when he does this, Chucky can now, I guess it's actually in my thing, Chucky can now connect to Kazlan products, which implies that this wasn't just power, it was also like his ability to connect to the internet, which I would have assumed would have been somehow broken when, he got his, faulty chip from earlier. But apparently not, because the chip is still in there, because he's still Chucky. But he now has the ability to connect. I guess it was just unrelated that he couldn't connect to the internet. That was just a side issue that this Chucky had.
Yeah. I mean, he did take out all of the bits, the guy in the beginning, right?
Did he? I don't remember. I think he just turned off like a bunch of safety protocols and then held up a chip and put it in.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so Chucky can now connect to Caslan products. We see
And once you know it, the basement is filled with Casline
because
products.
this is apparently a dystopian world where everyone has just accept, which once again it's a very thinly veiled commentary on modern society where who doesn't have something, an Echo or a Alexa? Most people. Now there are people who don't, but my family, we have an Alexa. I mean, a lot of people do. Like, it's for some reason we have all said no, we need these smart home things because I don't want to get up and turn off my thermostat. That's too much work.
Oh.
Really, the point is Wall-E is a documentary, and we're on our way. Kazlan is actually by and large, and this is now turning into a Wall-E podcast. Throwing all my notes away. We're going off the cuff on Wall-E notes.
Yay, Wally podcast.
Every week we just talk about Wall-E. The same movie. We rewatch it every week and come and see if we have a new opinion on it.
I mean, somebody's done something similar.
There are people who've done similar things. Not with Wall-E though, which is why we're breaking through a new market.
Pioneers.
Yeah, we see Gabe perving on Karen in the bathroom, but Chucky turns off the camera before Gabe can see anything. Good guy. Once again, Chucky so far hasn't done anything bad. I mean, he has.
Yeah.
But he's only done it to bad people. Including
and a cat.
Mickey Rooney, the cat, not the person.
Yeah.
The cat hurt Andy.
True.
Gabe looks around for Chucky, but can't find Chucky, who messes with the lights, and then cuts Gabe's leg and stabs him in the crotch. He trips on the Kazlan Roomba equivalent, and Chucky slices him in the chest a couple times. And then for some reason, I guess his escape plan is to climb onto his table saw after he gets cut in the leg one more time. Chucky knocks over and turns on the table saw. Gabe is now hanging onto a pipe over the saw. And Chucky
This is a Wi-Fi connected table saw, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that why I'm okay with that is that it's like we do have like smart plugs that they plugged the table saw into it and you labeled it in your home system as table saw, so that there are actual ways where you could literally do that right now. So
didn't know smart plugs were a thing.
Yeah, there are smart plugs that you can like hook up to your like things for like if you want like a lamp that's like, because if you have like the Hue bulbs, which you do those on your phone, but then you have a lamp that's not connected. It's smart stuff has gone too far, Chris. Honestly, this movie isn't even satire; it's just accurate.
That's scary.
But yeah, so the table saw turns on, but also in this world, it's probably just a Kazlan brand. Kazlan. It's probably just branded. The table saw is owned by
Kazleen.
The Kazlan table saw. But yeah, it's turned on, and he's hanging on from this pipe, which starts to get really hot as Chucky turns up the thermostat to an insane levels, which, you would think the thermostat would have safeguards. Sure, Chucky doesn't, but the thermostat shouldn't be allowed to go this high. But it does, and it goes real high, and it ends up burning his hands to the point where he falls to his death onto the table saw, and a cool kill. And Chucky says the line as he's like falling, "Time to open you up and see what we're dealing with." Get it? Because that was said to Chucky earlier. That's a callback to two scenes ago.
Right. That is something I would like to praise. Is the gore in this movie?
Oh yeah, there's some cool kills for sure. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Let's see what we're dealing. Chucky grabs the clean outfit and then puts himself in front of Omar's door. Chris comes to get Andy and take him over to Omar's to show him his buddy doll. Omar's named his a word that I'm not sure we can say on YouTube without getting demonetized.
Nope.
Not sure. Might be able to, might not. So I'm just not gonna say it. I'm just gonna call him Chucky, but he has a new name in a couple scenes. We head to Detective Mike at the crime scene of Gabe's death. That's it. That's the whole scene, is him just showing up there. But it's so we don't have two scenes back to back with the kids at two different places. We had to have this scene to cut away to establish why we're at a new place. Yeah. Then we go to Zedmart, where they're prepping for the Buddy 2 launch. And Chucky goes up to Andy and asks if he wants to play now. Andy sends him away, thinking he's Omar's buddy doll. Chucky tells him that's not a nice way to treat your best friend. Andy says they're not friends. And Chucky replies, I'm sorry to hear that, because if I can't be your best buddy, then nobody can. He then says said everybody leaves him, and then Chucky plays footage of Andy wishing Shane was gone on all the TVs before Shane's melon head pops up at like the last shot. At this point, Andy is freaking out because, that does not look good. And he starts smashing Chucky on the ground as Omar runs up and tells Andy to stop before making fun of him for being deaf. They get into a fight where Omar's phone falls out of his pocket. Pug tries to break it up, and Andy pushes him off into a shelf. And he says that Omar's buddy is Chucky. The other kids leave, and Karen checks on Andy, who picks up Omar's phone. That's that whole scene.
Oh, and Andy's hearing aid gets knocked out.
I just didn't bring it up because it didn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't.
That was when he made fun of him for being deaf. He knocks off his hearing aid, so he has to pick it up at this point. Yeah. Andy uses the Buddy app to watch Chucky. And I think we might see Chucky in Andy's house first, and then goes to Doreen. It's a lot of quick shots before he has a knife and goes up to Doreen. He's in front of Doreen, who's getting picked up for bingo by a Caslin car. Andy tries to run down the fire escape, trying to get to her in time, but he can't get to her in time. I guess Chucky hitches a ride on the car. We don't really know, because if not, I don't understand at all how he gets where he's about to be. Because at bingo, Chucky takes control of the car and drives Doreen around wildly before having her crash into a parked van. This scene goes on for a little bit, and it's actually well shot, but it's hard to explain other than he drives her around crazily. Yeah. After some tease, no, that's not what I'm right saying at all. What? Here we are. Yeah, so he crashes her into the parked van after turning off her seatbelt and airbag. And he's also taunting her at this point about Andy being her best friend. He's like, no, he's my best friend, basically. That's basically Chucky in this movie. She leaves throughout. She lives through the crash, and after some teasing, he's somehow in the car with her and stabs her in a peekaboo. He says peekaboo and stabs her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how he got in the car. Maybe while she was knocked out.
Maybe he was always in the car.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
No, we literally see him not in the car.
Yeah.
Well, that would be fine.
See the perspective of him. Well, no. Yeah, we do.
No, we straight up see him on the sidewalk controlling her with his little ET finger, which we haven't mentioned. He has an ET finger. That was established in the opening little fake ad. We forgot to bring it up, but he has an ET finger for some reason.
He does. Yes. Well, it controls the smart appliances, Austin.
Bluetooth doesn't need a light to signify it, but they have it.
No, it does.
Oh, this is infrared technology? That's so behind the times. Why is Caslin using such crappy technology?
Good question. Good question.
We cut back to Andy, who tries to tell Karen about Chucky, but she doesn't believe him and just wants to know what happened to Rooney because she had found his collar. Because I think Chucky put it on the door. Once again, I think that might have been what was happening in that, while he was watching it, but it was all really quick, and he did 3 different things in what looked like 3 different rooms. I don't know.
Yeah. Chucky did become temporarily omnipresent.
Yeah, he got Jason's powers. He can teleport. It's actually a new Caslin feature.
Yeah. The real threat of AI is when they become everywhere all at once.
He says that Chucky killed Rooney and says that he can prove it on Omar's phone. She takes the phone in anger, like, why'd you steal this kid's phone? You're going to get us in trouble. And takes it back to Omar, leaving Andy in the apartment. Cut to a quick shot of Detective Mike finding his mom's body. And we cut back to Andy, whose TV turns on. It's footage of Pug telling Fallon that Andy might be crazy and, not making all this up. Chucky taunts Andy, who takes a bat and hits a Caslin speaker. Chucky asks if we're having fun now, and plays footage of Karen saying, shows just like a shot of Karen saying, and then Chucky says, if they don't let us play, they'll all go away, before switching it to this, what looks like a live feed under the couch, but when he looks down there, he's not there, so I guess it's like a pre-recorded shot of his feet from like a couple seconds before that, before showing Andy footage of Doreen's death, and that's the point where Andy's had too much, and he takes a bat to the TV. And it also happens to be the point, at that point, once he's taking the bat to the TV and there's no proof of what's happening, is the point where Karen comes in. So,
classic Karen. Karen moment.
Yeah, so she takes him to work at Zedmart for the Buddy 2 launch. Fallon goes to tell Pug that Doreen is dead and wonders if Andy has been telling the truth this whole time. Pug has a really cool Killer Clowns poster in his room. And because of that, in honor of that, for our video listeners, you see it. For our audio and Chris listeners, I'm wearing my Killer Clowns shirt.
I'm a Chris listener today.
Yeah, you haven't seen my shirt yet.
No, I haven't.
Lost my place. Killer Clown poster. They go to Omar and find out that his buddy is missing, and Fallon takes Omar's phone and finds out that Chucky watched Doreen get into the Caslin car and is now at Zedmart. We head to the police station, where Willis brings Detective Mike photos of the face wrapped as a present, which makes him realize, oh my, Andy's a killer. Is what he thinks. We head back to Zedmart. Wes, remember him? He was in one scene earlier. Is prepping himself to be a Buddy 2 mascot, and Chucky is behind him with a knife. We got to Pug, Fallon, and Omar as they unite with Andy and go to look for his mom. He's then, before he gets to her, gets handcuffed by Detective Mike, who is not at all doing the right thing as a cop, because he will not tell Karen why he's arresting her minor son and saying, I don't have to, which is not how that works if you're arresting a minor. You definitely have to tell her he's a suspect for a murder. Yeah. But yeah, right. That's all happening right before Wes is about to come out to these screaming children, this giant group of them. Chucky stabs him in the neck, causing him to end up spraying blood all over the crowd, especially this one young girl. It's a disgustingly funny and kind of cool moment in the movie.
Yeah.
And lost my place again. I'm really good at losing my place, guys. Due to the commotion, Mike handcuffs Andy to a basket. It's not when I say basket, I'm not saying shopping cart, because those words can mean the same thing to some people. It's this weird metal thing that's in front of the shelves, so it's not easy to move. I don't know what you would describe that as.
Yeah, it's almost like those baskets that you see bouncy balls in.
Yeah, the bigger bouncy balls at Walmart.
But it's a lot smaller.
Yeah, it's like that. I don't know what you call that. It's that. He handcuffs him to that.
A metal fixture.
Yeah. Andy freaks out talking to his mom as the lights go out. A glitchy video of Henry Caslin plays on the big screen. Chucky starts up some drones. The little video of Caslin ends with him saying, "It's time to," and then it cuts to Chucky saying, "Play." One drone comes in and mulches Wes, killing him.
Yeah, because these drones do have razor blades tied to them.
Did they? I thought they were just the metal blades that are on drones, and like they do sometimes like cut people.
No, they
That's
had
cool.
yeah like box cutter blades
Okay.
tied on.
Cool. I missed that feature. I just thought I was just like I remember hearing about like times where like metal bladed drones like were at like there was like some story of like someone flying a drone around like a TGI Fridays and it ended up cutting up someone.
Oh,
Yeah.
classic TGI Fridays.
Yeah, TGI Fridays moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, it mulches them. It's really cool. Everyone freaks out as Chucky starts the lockdown of the building. Chucky taps into Andy's hearing aid to taunt him some more. Andy at this point tries to try and pull the basket is what we'll call it because I don't know what else to call it. A drone is about to hit Pug when Detective Mike pushes him out of the way heroically and he ends up falling down due to the wounds he got and looks like he's starting to bleed out.
Yeah.
Chucky turns the Buddy Bears evil and they attack a random customer. Pug and Fallon reunite and go to look for Andy. Andy is about to get Buddy Bared when Fallon comes in with some sort of motorized saw. It's not a chainsaw. There's no chain. I don't know what exactly this tool is. It's some sort of motorized saw.
It's oh man. Yeah, it's for all intents and purposes, it is a motorized saw.
I'm just gonna call it a
that you would
saw
use
going forward, but yeah.
To like trim branches.
Okay.
As what you use it for. I don't know what the real name for it is.
Sounds like some sort of pruning tool. I don't know. That's the term for taking down branches.
That is true.
I know stuff. But yeah, so she shows up with her pruning tool. Lost my place though. Because it wouldn't be a podcast if I don't lose my place at least like 4 or 5 times. So yeah, she takes the Buddy Bear down with that, and then cleaves off its head before taking the cleaver and cutting Handy's cuffs off. Because she took I think it was Pug's cleaver after she doesn't want to keep using the really cool like power tool. She wants to use a cleaver instead to kill it. Like, I get it for cutting off, Andy. That makes sense. Like, for freeing Andy. But it doesn't really make sense. Like, I feel like just go with the cool motorized tool to kill the bear. But, she cuts off its head with a cleaver.
Yeah. Well, it is both a cleaver and it is also definitely not a cleaver.
Yeah, it's not. It's cleaver-esque. I don't know what else you want to call it. It's some sort of really...
A very large knife that it is, for some reason, at Zedmart.
Yeah.
They got everything at Zedmart.
To be fair, I think... Because when they first show up in the scene at Zedmart, they come with these, which makes me wonder if they brought these from home. Doesn't explain why they'd have them home either. That's still questionable. But I
believe that Pugs probably had that knife at home.
Yeah, I think they brought the weapons from home. So yeah, they're all about to leave when Chucky taunts Andy on the TV, showing him he has Karen. So Andy ends up pushing the door closed to, save his friends and to go find his mom. He picks up Fallon's pruning power tool saw and says to Chucky, "You want to play? Let's play." Even though I don't know if Chucky can hear him at this point. I mean, he is an AI, so he might. But it is like a cool, yeah, I'm going to get him line. But also, can Chucky hear him? I mean, we know Chucky's getting his attention, but I don't know if Chucky's near him right now. I don't know how that works, so... It's a cool line, though. It's a cool, hero moment, so good for him. He heads to the stockroom / basically warehouse that for some reason in the back of the Zedmart. And finds his mom following a toy cop car that leads him to her. Andy hears Chucky play a clip of Karen saying Andy's a bit different. And he sees this Buddy doll, but it's not Chucky, who ends up knocking him out from behind. Andy comes to as Chucky starts a forklift that will eventually hang Karen. Chucky says he was broken and couldn't make Andy smile. He couldn't make him happy. Maybe Andy doesn't want to be happy. Maybe Andy's broken too. Maybe he needs to open him up and see what he's dealing with. Which is a cool line for us, but Andy never heard that line, so that line doesn't feel like that special. Andy's like, why are you... That's just... Like, I mean, that's literally just for us, the audience. And says, I'm going to... I don't know what that says. Fix. I'm going to fix. That's supposed to be an X. Wow, my handwriting, guys. I'm going to fix you as he raises this knife over Andy. And Andy starts singing the Buddy song, which stops Chucky for just long enough, giving Andy a chance to knock Chucky off of him, I believe with the toy cop car. Karen at this point is starting to choke, so Andy climbs up the scaffolding and tries to saw Karen down. But Chucky replays Andy saying, "We're too late," and attacks him. Andy drops the saw, and he then hangs from the rope as Chucky attacks him. Andy's able to get the knife away from Chucky and just cuts the rope, dropping all of them down. Serious risk of, like, horrible injuries, but thankfully, everyone's fine.
Breaking their legs like Shane did earlier.
Yeah, but I guess they knew to, twist as they're going. His choking out mother was able to, like, go, ooh, let me move my legs out of the way.
Yeah.
Andy, sure, maybe. His mom should have broken legs.
Yeah.
Or at least one broken
wheelchair.
The odds of, it's possible that, she just happened to slump down this way, but, I guess that's what we're going to have to go with. After they fall down, Andy end up taking the knife and stabs Chucky in his arc reactor in this, like, beautifully lit and framed shot. Like, huge props to the cinematographer. This shot is beautiful. Like, the way the lights are coming in through, like, the windows behind them. Like, it's really pretty. It shouldn't be. It's one of these times what happens a lot in these horror movies where I go, this shot is way too pretty for the movie it's in. But yeah, it's a really pretty shot. And he starts to walk away. But Chucky ends up jumping out at him, singing My Buddy Till the End, but is shot down by a still alive Detective Mike. Woo! Who says,
Mike,
this is the end, friend. No, actually, he doesn't say that part. Just this is the end. They didn't fully take the line. Karen walks over and just rips off Chucky's head. Karen and Detective Mike hold hands, or she rubs his shoulder or something like that before being put in separate ambulances. So I guess maybe we are still going with the love story that was in the other one for them, maybe, because I don't know, the shot feels really weird if they're not trying to hint at they might wanted to go there in a sequel. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pug, Fallon, Omar, and Andy smash Chucky's pieces, his head and his body up with sledgehammers and bats in an alley, and then burn the bits. One last Kaslan fluff piece says they share no responsibility, but are recalling the Buddy 2 line for now. And we end with a shot of a Buddy 1 eyes turning red, as Henry Kaslan says, a friend till the end.
So that was a Child's Play movie, technically speaking.
Yeah, so let's try to break it down. My thoughts on this movie, you can tell, obviously, but I want to try to, in case some people maybe want to just skip to this part, I want to, put it in a way where it sounds nice and, refined, and I've thought about how I want to word it. I haven't, but I want to try to make it look like I did. Yeah. This, like I said, this movie has a lot of parts that are really good. It really does. This movie is not a bad movie. It really isn't. It's a good movie, I would even go as far as saying. I think almost everyone involved, except for maybe the writer, worked their butts off to make as good of a movie as they can with what they were, they made a movie, and they made a really good one. But the problem is it should have never existed. The problem is that this movie is literally only exists because studios wanted money. And like, here's the thing: could you say that about every other remake ever? Yeah. And I've been like, kind of, infamously very supportive of some of those other remakes that some people hate. But like, those franchises were dead. This franchise wasn't dead. This franchise had been ongoing one continuity for 30 years. Made the last movie in that franchise 2 years prior to this. It was still going. And Don Mancini wanted nothing to do with this. He's not involved. The closest they wanted to have him involved was they wanted to like give him an executive producer role with no actual creative control. So he said no. It's an insult. Like, this movie shouldn't exist. Like, it shouldn't exist as a Child's Play movie. This movie, like, this is a really good plot. It's a little strong. It's a decent plot, and it's well done. Where if this movie was called Buddy or something else, whatever, I'm using Buddy because it's there. It was called Buddy, and we slightly changed the design of Chucky, and changed the 3 character names that they chose to bring over. This movie could be a movie that's kind of inspired by him. Yeah, the haters would say, oh, it's just a ripoff of Chucky, and who cares? People are going to complain. No matter what, someone's going to complain. But then at least it wouldn't be like, I don't know, I hate the idea of this movie existing. I hate that they, like, yeah, and maybe there is an element of me being a, some of the bad Chucky movies apologist guy. I think all the Chucky movies are good. But even if you don't, you have to, like, respect it. Like, it was one man's vision. Even if you don't like that vision, he had his one vision. Also, David Kirshner was involved. So you could say 2 men's vision from day one. They were both involved. But, like, it was these 2 men who, like, worked their butts off to make this one connected franchise for 30 years. And then they went, we, MGM, we own the rights to the original movie, so we can remake it. So we're going to, because we want to make money. Which, like, yeah, I get it. It's business. It's show business. There's a reason the word business is there. It's a business. I do understand. But it's like, I don't know. It hurts. Because, like, this movie is good, but it's not really a Child's Play movie. It's so different in so many ways that it doesn't feel right at all. Like, even, like, a lot of those other ones, like, they all still kind of felt like they were still the same kind of movie, but a new version of it. This doesn't feel like a new version of the original Child's Play to me. I think it's a good movie, but I think personally, due to my personal opinions, I don't like it, which it sucks for the people involved, because they did a really good job.
Yeah. I would say that the worst part of this movie is that the name Child's Play is attached to it. And then maybe some of the writing. But yeah, I mean, most of this movie was really well done, well executed. And like, as a horror movie, the kills are really well done and pretty cool. The effects are pretty good all throughout. The acting is great. The character chemistry is pretty good, except for Pugs. uh, but yeah, it really just doesn't feel like a Child's Play movie, aside from the fact that there is a killer doll. In which case, like I said earlier, then Megan is a Child's Play movie. By that same logic. Yeah, I mean, you could have very easily rebranded this as a spiritual successor, or a movie inspired by the Child's Play movies. Um, but yeah, Greedy Studios said we're not going to do that because we want more money, and we're going to make something that isn't a Child's Play movie and just slap the name on there, because that'll do better in theaters. And it as a fan of the Child's Play movies, yeah, it does it sucks. But this movie doesn't suck, to be honest. And so I'm sitting somewhere at this weird middling feeling about it overall. Except for the design of the buddies, who I do hate because they are the face of a 60-year-old man slapped on a toddler's body, and it makes me uncomfortable to look at. And I hate it, and whoever designed it should feel bad.
Dang. I almost included them in the pre-notes. I'm happy I didn't now after saying that horrible thing about them. Jeez.
That is a joke. But I do hate the design.
That's fair.
And that is my opinion.
Yeah. And like, closing on this movie thoughts, real quick, is that thankfully this isn't the end of the story. This could have been easily, like, the end. They took it back, it was so successful, and then they just kept making movies, and, which, hey, this movie's only 2019, they still could make a sequel to this movie, and, power to the actors and everyone else involved besides the studio. Get that bag. Go make that movie. I'll probably watch it, and I'll probably half enjoy it like I did this one, where I go, I genuinely think it's a good movie, but I don't like it. That situation, where that's how it'll be probably if you made another one. That's fine, whatever. But do they own the rights to Child's Play 2? They can't call it Child's Play 2, because that's owned by Universal.
Yeah.
They'll have to call it Another Child's Play.
Child's Playing Again.
But yeah, like I was saying, though, before I made that joke and distracted myself, this isn't the end of the story, because next week we're talking about the first 2 episodes of the Chucky TV show, because Don Mancini got to continue his vision. He has, so far, 2 seasons of TV and a 3rd on the way, and we're going to start covering those first 2 seasons over the next 8 weeks. We're going to do 2 episodes a week. So next week we're going to be talking about the, first 2 episodes. I don't remember the names of them. Starting next week, I'll try to give you the names of, like, the next 2 episodes. But, yeah, we're going to talk about Chucky episodes, Season 1, Episode 1 and 2. We'll talk about that next week. If you like this podcast, if you've made it this far, thanks, because this was a weird episode. There was a weird energy about this one. Maybe it was better. Maybe it was more fun. Maybe it sucked. I don't know. But if you like this, leave a 5-star review. Or, hey, if you hated this, leave it a 1-star review and just let us know. But please actually don't. That would really hurt us in the algorithm. Actually, don't do that, please. I lied. If you don't like it, just leave. It's fine.
If you don't like it, give it a 4-star review.
Yeah. Yeah. With a scathing review. So we know. But yeah, it's on all those podcast apps: Google, Apple, Spotify, which is owned by Amazon, because these are all those 3 conglomerates that Kazlan represents. They're evil. They own it all. We're on all of them because we're sellouts.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to go to watch a video version of this podcast, you're one of those audio people, but you also, hey, like videos. Hey, you can see our ugly little faces every week. I have a cool Chucky poster behind me. That's not going anywhere. So even once we're not talking about Chucky, that'll be there. So that's pretty cool.
And I have an unmade bed behind me.
Yeah,
which
thankfully
may or may not be out of frame.
Most of it's not in frame, so we're okay. But yeah, if you want to see the video podcast, weird energy this episode, guys. We're sorry. I'm sorry. This movie has a weird energy for me. Like we said, I liked it but didn't. Like, it's weird. It's a weird energy. Yeah, youtube.com/@horrorbois. You can also find our currently on hiatus show, Horrible Commentaries, over there. Will it come back? Yes, this Christmas for Grumpy Cat. But yeah, also, if you want to support us directly, patreon.com/@horrorboys. No, not @horrorboys. Just /horrorboys. Just /horrorboys. I'm tired, guys. It's been a long episode.
And it is a little bit late at night.
Yeah.
So
we'll see you next week.
Later.
Next year?
Good night.
Did you say next year?
Huh?
I swear you said next year, and I haven't hit end yet, because I do the outro.
We'll see you guys later.
Oh, I think I said see you next year. I was like, what? This is all still in the outro. We're still here. We'll see you next week. I'm Austin, joined as always by Chris. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.